President Biden's expected to sign his Buy American initiative today, aimed at bolstering domestic manufacturing and closing those loopholes for companies that are looking to take jobs overseas. But our next guest warns the move could further strain our relationships with U.S. trade partners. Here to explain, Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon Arnold. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, good morning.
It sounds great. Buy American. That sounds wonderful. But what are your concerns?
Yeah, sure. Buy American sounds fantastic. But here's the problem. We've already had some strained relationships with our trading partners. Biden said he'd go in and repair those. He's actually already made them worse, and it could get a lot worse from here. The first thing he did right out of the gate was kill the Keystone Pipeline project, this energy project that was going to create jobs, thousands of jobs, both for Canadians and for Americans. That really ticked off our neighbors to the north. And now by putting these more restrictive Buy American policies in place, we are further exacerbating some of the trade problems that we've had. It's annoying people to the north. It's annoying other countries. But more importantly, it's not going to create the jobs that Biden is saying it's going to create. It's simply not going to happen. What it's going to do is create higher costs and more red tape for our contractors here in the United States that are doing business with the federal government.
We have to tread lightly here because we want companies in America to do well, but also if we need PPE from other countries, then we don't want to do anything to upset that relationship, maybe with China or someone else, even though China is such a big threat. How do you do that? How do you do it safely and still have American companies thriving?
Well, the way you do it is you create better trade agreements across the globe. That's something that Trump worked on. I don't think he went quite far enough. I think there's a lot more work that we can do to hem in China, for instance, by creating stronger trade relationships in the Pacific, but also just to foster a better business climate here in the United States. We've done that to some extent by lowering the corporate tax rate, by improving our tax climate generally. There's a lot more work that this president could be doing. And instead, he's going back to the old playbook of the last Democratic administration, the Obama administration, which of course sunk almost $1 trillion into the economy in spending that created jobs, but it did so at a cost of about $4 million per job. That's a bad deal. We can create those jobs through the free market, through better trade agreements, through stronger tax and regulatory policy, but we're moving in the wrong direction here.
So this is interesting. Amazon has gone to the National Labor Relations Board because they're voting to unionize, and they're asking that its workers, the Amazon workers, vote in person rather than by mail. So now all of a sudden they like the in-person voting. The Amazon spokesperson says, "We believe that the best approach to a valid, fair, and successful election is one that is conducted manually in person, making it easy for associates to verify and cast their vote in close proximity to their workplace." This just takes us back to November when Republicans wanted in person and Democrats wanted mail-in. Why do you think that they're pushing in person?
I think they're pushing in person because obviously it puts them in a stronger position. But I think there's some merit to what they're saying. Here's the deal. When we've had mail-in union elections in the past, going back to 2019, the turnout has been 20 to 30% lower for mail-in ballots than they have for in-person. But the biggest thing is Amazon and the union here have the ability, constitutionally protected ability to free speech, to communicate their message to these workers that are going to be taking this very, very consequential vote. And with an in-person process, they had that ability. With a mail-in process, it's questionable whether they can communicate the merits and concerns that may exist for these folks joining a union. Because once you join that union, it's incredibly difficult to decertify. So what they should do is just push this process off into the future to a time when it's safe, when they can make sure that they can communicate, again, the positives and negatives of joining a union to everybody.
Okay, great job. Thanks, Brandon.